For every story that finds its way to an audience in pop culture, countless others are lost to the sands of time, only to be discovered by intrepid historians known as Raiders of the Lost Ark. Greetings, fellow pop culture fans, and welcome to this edition of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, if there is a lost art you'd like me to investigate, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking for a good adventure. With that in mind, let's see what today's topic is. In today's adventure, we will cover the top 5 biopics never made by these fine filmmakers. And folks, since this is a countdown video, I could do a lot more with these lost projects. If you would like me to study some of these more and make future videos, please let me know in the comments below. With that in mind, let's go on our adventure. Number 5. I Never Had It Made, the Jackie Robinson story. Fresh from the success of his 1992 civil rights epic Malcolm X, Spike Lee wanted to collaborate once again with Denzel Washington to tell the story of another African-American icon, Jackie Robinson, the famous African-American ball player who integrated baseball in 1947. Based on the autobiography I Never Had It Made, Lee's screenplay sought to balance Robinson's successes as a baseball player with his impact on American history and civil rights. So why wasn't it made? Well, at 41 years old, Denzel Washington thought he was too old to play Jackie Robinson, one of the greatest athletes in American history. With his leading man out of the role, Spike Lee worked on other projects, and I Never Had It Made was lost to the ages. That is until 2020, when Spike Lee released the script for the public on his Instagram account during quarantine. It should be noted that in 2019, Spike Lee did in fact make a short film about the impact of Jackie Robinson on American culture. Link is in the description below. I highly recommend it. It's very well done. And of course, in 2013, we did in fact get a Jackie Robinson biopic starring the late great Chadwick Boseman. And to that cinematic milestone, Spike Lee says,
all due praise to my brother Chadwick.
Number 4. Alexander the Great, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Nicole Kidman. So folks, what do you get when you take the director of Romeo and Juliet, The Great Gatsby, and Moulin Rouge and have him join forces with the author of The Usual Suspects and Edge of Tomorrow? Sadly, we'll never know, because this Alexander the Great film was canceled by yet another Alexander the Great film, which earned 6 Razzies. No studio in their right mind would okay another Alexander the Great film. But it seems like all the creatives appear to have recovered. After all, Nicole Kidman did team up with Baz Luhrmann in the 2008 film Australia, presumably replacing Alexander the Great. It's no secret that Baz Luhrmann has worked with Leonardo DiCaprio on multiple occasions, both before and since this project. And of course, screenwriter Christopher McQuarrie is using his screenwriting talents to single-handedly keep Paramount out of bankruptcy. But given the intensity and signature style that Baz Luhrmann devotes to each of his films, I can't help but wonder what this Alexander the Great movie would look like. How many Oscars could it earn? How many memes would it spawn? Would history teachers force their kids to watch it and pretend it's historically accurate? You tell me in the comments below, I'd love to hear it. Movie 3. Sinatra, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. From the director of Goodfellas, The Departed, and every other crime film this side of The Godfather comes Sinatra, a film chronicling the life of one of the most successful singers, actors, and celebrities of the 20th century. And yet, it will probably never be made, and this is why. Frank Sinatra's estate has very clearly vetoed the script that Martin Scorsese wants to use. Now, people have understandably chalked this up to the fact that Sinatra had ties to the mafia, and they don't want another Scorsese kind of mafia movie. To be fair, there is a lot of historical documentation to back up those connections. However, there are other possible reasons at play. Doing a dedicated Sinatra biopic may end up causing the public to see a less than flattering side of the talented musician. In addition to those well-documented mafia ties, there's also documentation suggesting that Sinatra dodged the draft in World War II and used his professional connections with the mafia to run out competition violently. Also, Sinatra was prone to depression and fits of rage, none of which looks very good in a film supposedly being a tribute to the singer. Now, personally, I think Scorsese would handle these concepts with tact and class, but I can understand why the Sinatra estate denied his ability to film. What do you think? Number 2, Raised Eyebrows, the Groucho Marx story, directed by Rob Zombie. Now folks, you did not mishear me. In 2015, Rob Zombie and the screenwriter for the film Love and Mercy joined forces to make a movie on the life and times of Groucho Marx, the famous comedian. Now when you take a look at the life and history of the Marx family, there's a lot to be had there, both in terms of comedy and tragedy. You have a family that starts out in extreme poverty, rises to national stardom, and along the way get cheated out of their due financially. On top of that, you have brothers that fall into hardship. Movies are made during this time by the Marx brothers to get out of gambling debts. When you get to the end of Groucho Marx's life, you have extreme tragedy, such as alleged elder abuse brought on by Groucho's manager and girlfriend Erin Fleming. Judging by the fact that the screenplay is based on the 1996 memoir Raised Eyebrows, My Years Inside Groucho's House, as written by Marx's former assistant Steve Stellaire, it's very likely that this script will follow the latter part of Groucho Marx's life than the former. People associated with this film have likened it as a combination between Groucho Marx's life mixed with Sunset Boulevard and Ed Wood. Honestly, of all the videos out there, this one has my most peculiar curiosity. I would love to see this film take form, and there is a chance it might, because this film is not technically dead, it's just on hold, while Rob Zombie makes the Munsters. Number 1, The King, starring The Rock. Now, what happens when you get the director of Back to the Future teaming up with the screenwriter for Braveheart about a story that has long been overdue? You get something that is potentially extremely special to the Native Hawaiian community. In 2018, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson officially announced that he was going to be taking on the role of the famous King Kamehameha, the man who united all the Hawaiian Islands and made a kingdom. Now, I'm not going to get too far into this, partially because this film is still technically in production, it has not been killed, and also because there is so much to this story I want to share with you all. As a Native Hawaiian myself, this is something that is very near and dear to my heart. But I can tell you this, a movie about King Kamehameha would have absolutely everything. It has prophecy, it has empowerment, it has epic battles, it has somebody coming to terms with who they really are. I am extremely excited about this, and I will be focusing on this when I launch my new series, Make That Movie. The YouTube series where we take a look at events from history and mythology and talk about what a movie featuring these events would look like. But what do you think? Which of these 5 lost movies has your money? Let me know in the comments below, and if you would like me to expand my research on one of these 5 movies, please also let me know in the comments. With that said, off to the next adventure.